to begin.
Hey, what's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Social Primate Podcast. What's up? Today we have Yvonne Franco Rodriguez in the studio.
Hello.
Hey, thank you for coming out. I know we've been kind of planning on this for a couple of weeks. You know, we set it up, and you're finally here.
Yes,
Yeah.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Well, just to give us a little bit of background for those people who don't know, who you are and what you do you want to start off with, what is it you do?
Yes. So my name's Yvonne, and I run MentalWhealth with my little brother.
Mm-hmm.
And MentalWhealth is like a mental health platform for people with mental illness, and we focus a lot on just bringing awareness to mental health and what that looks like, what it looks like to suffer from a mental illness, and even laughter. We try to do memes.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the reasons we blew up, because our memes were original, and so we just started like bringing awareness to things that other people weren't.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I think that's what I noticed when I first came across your page. I was like, oh damn, it's like memes, they make you laugh, but they're about serious things, like.
Yes.
So it's like, oh shit, there's like a double meaning to it, and
Yes.
I think that's what turned me onto the page too. And there was a little aspect of both of those that made it what it is. You know?
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing this page for?
I think it's been a year and a half.
Mm.
And pretty much I had like a side page that I wasn't using, and my little brother was going through a hard time, and I think it's okay for me to say this because he's open about it on MentalWhealth, but he was struggling with a new diagnosis, which was OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. And during that time he and I bonded because I had been through other diagnoses such as depression and borderline personality disorder, and even being diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And so we bonded, and then he came to me and he was just like, hey, I want to do something. I want to like start something new on social media to bring awareness to the things that me and you have gone through and are going through. And so that's how the page was born, and it blew up. And so, it's 29,000. So
Hey, 29,000 is a good amount.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, I like the concept of it. Again, I think it's a really good way to bring certain issues to light while at the same time bringing some humor to them, because at the end of the day, humor is going to be attracted to you no matter what. You're going to be attracted to that laugh, and you're going to want to come back.
Yeah.
So, I mean, with that being said, how did you guys, was I going to say something? How did you guys come across trying to bring yourselves to the exposure of these things? Like, how did you push this? Like, what did you go about for trying to make this grow and bring that awareness?
Well, we did meet with somebody, and they were running a big platform too, and that person just pretty much just let me know, like, these are the things that you could do. You can post original content. You can bring humor into this. And so that's how it kind of blew up. But I just think using, like, I don't know if people are good with social media, but just using hashtags, making original content, also just sharing your story. I think there's such a stigma with mental health, and people are afraid, or maybe in their culture is not accepted to open up about their feelings. And so I think just opening up ourselves about our stuff and our stories and our trauma, and that helps build like a community, helps create like a more personal effect through social media, if that makes sense.
No, it does make sense. No, I mean, I ask because it definitely takes a lot of effort to make a page grow, and especially when you're trying to bring real problems into context, where other people resonate with it and they can relate to those.
Yes.
And at the same time, like, you're in a way, you're validating the fact that those people feel that way, without having that stigma that you said certain communities have, like kind of like Latino community and Hispanics.
Yes,
That,
definitely.
there's a lot of stigma with that. And then growing up, at least for me, you hear it like, no estás llorando, or like, something. And it's like, oh man, like it was just wrong
Yeah,
to express certain things at certain moments,
definitely. I agree.
And that just kind of shells you up, puts you in a little box, and you're not able to express. And then, finally take responsibility that maybe there is something more to the way you feel.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Did your stuff, like, your what you were diagnosed with, did that improve as you started running this page, that you started understanding more, or was it more like you were
Well,
being guided by what you were going through?
so I was diagnosed when I was 22, 23.
Mm-hmm.
I'm now 29. So a lot of time has passed for my recovery, and so
Mm-hmm.
I'm recovering, but a lot of how I got better was also through grad school, because I'm
Mm-hmm.
in a MFT program where I'm going to be a therapist.
Mm-hmm.
And so just learning that curriculum and applying it to social media, I think was very I learned through that,
Mm-hmm.
because I was able to apply some of the things that I've learned on like a huge scale
Yeah.
or a huge audience. Yeah.
And you decided to go into therapy, to help others with learn how to cope with that while you were learning too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's pretty
pretty
cool.
yeah. I don't think even through grad school I was having symptoms of depression,
Mm-hmm.
suicidal thoughts, and that's something that a lot of people don't want to talk about, but
Yeah.
it needs to be laid out. It needs to be on the surface. Only then can we try to help it or
Mm-hmm.
try to solve things, and until we do that, and I think that's what's happening now. A lot of people are opening up, and
Yeah.
I'm so grateful for that, because it's changing the way we see therapy, even in Latino communities.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like just going to school really, really helped me
Yeah.
learn.
Yeah, I think I'm not a professional in this. I don't have any certificate and stuff, but I think once you start becoming a little bit more aware that there's others experiencing certain things that you might be experiencing, that gives you a bit more comfort and more a feeling of peace, knowing that there's people working towards bettering themselves too, or bettering your personal situation.
Yeah.
And again, like I've seen a few other pages too that do mental health and stuff. Yours are pretty funny though. Yours are pretty funny.
Thank you.
But again, I think there's the whole thing that it's also. I mean, where are you based out of? Like around here, LA, right? Or
We're actually in El Monte.
El Monte.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I mean the majority of the communities around there is also, I would say, majority Hispanic,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, see, there's a lot of stigma, especially with, like, let's say my parents they hold certain standards as to what should be, said, especially as a man, like you have to.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You can't be showing those weaknesses,
Yeah.
otherwise you're not good enough for something.
Yeah. And
But go for
sorry.
it. Go for it.
Oh, sorry. When that's also why I love that it's ran by female and the male, because we give different perspectives to things.
Yeah.
It's it's like a shared, platform where some of the things that he goes through is different because he's a man, and some of the things that I go through is different because I'm a woman, and so that's why I love that it's my brother who is a man and dealing with that stuff.
Yeah, because exactly. You guys have different ways of approaching these,
Yes.
same experiences, but at the same time, there's two different aspects to what you're held to do. I
Yeah,
guess.
definitely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so with you, you and your brother running this, how have you guys seen the reaction from others in regards to that?
I think we've had a lot of good reaction,
Mm-hmm.
where we do get a lot of DMs about people struggling, and it has gotten to the point where we got suicide threats, or just people saying that they want to hurt themselves, and so that's been kind of challenging for me, because as a therapist, you are you that's your duty to, like, de-escalate, and so I try to do that. But yeah, I think overall we've created like a community. Hopefully it's safe with everyone.
Yeah.
We want to make it safe and inclusive, and inclusive to people of color, inclusive to people with disabilities, to men who are uh, who've in the past have been not, they haven't talked about those issues.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think we've gotten a good reaction for the most part, and people do tell us that they want to hurt themselves. So I think that makes hopefully a safe environment, meaning that they're able to trust us to be able to say those things.
Yeah, no, I mean, it definitely takes a lot of courage to be able to open up like that, with somebody too.
Yeah.
I would think that, I mean, to just tell somebody random like that, you're asking for help, and, maybe you haven't found comfort in trying to find that person to tell it to.
Yeah.
Man, yeah, it's pretty. I've never worked in mental health. Once I worked at I can't see the company, but I worked as a customer service representative for people for an insurance company, medical insurance.
Oh. Uh-huh.
And you can see, sometimes you can see how hard it was for people who really had like problems that they wanted to solve to get help.
Yeah.
Like there was just like all these, you gotta wait. There's so much time for see whatever or it doesn't fit in your plan, blah blah blah, and it's like it just makes you question like, what is that insurance really there for? It's supposed to help you out, but when there's people out there who need the help, and that they need the help, and you're still putting all these obstacles for them to get there, then that's like I don't see where that puts us as a society in regards to how we handle mental health.
For sure, yeah. And I think that's why me and my brother are like, let's do this. Like, let's, even if it's a post a day that can help somebody, like we're willing to do it because we know how hard it is to get resources. We grew up poor, and so we know what that's like. And especially being Latina and Latino, we want to be able to give those people like at least awareness and like a voice, even if it's like somebody venting out and writing it in our comments. Like that's a space for them to be able to like, hey, this is a spot where I can talk about these things, even if they don't have access to therapy.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. And sometimes you just really need somebody to hear you out, or again, like I said earlier, just know that there's somebody else in those same shoes as you are, and that can just kind of lift that burden off of you for a minute or two, whatever it is, but you're still trying to push it towards becoming a little better for yourself. I wanted to bring up the stigmas and stuff in regards to like the culture that we were in, especially as Hispanic Latinos. That it's frowned upon. Like for me, example, I don't think I ever saw my dad cry, only once. I'm 29. I've only seen my dad cry once, and I didn't even see him physically. I heard him. He was in the bathroom. Something probably happened. I don't know what it was, but he was crying. He was like bawling, and I was like, "What the fuck?" So that was the only one-time image that I have of my dad ever crying. So that, in a sense, put an image in my head too that at a point, not so much now, that showing that weakness was wrong. Like it was shunned on. Like, no, you can't do that. So again, seeing that role model that I had not do it, it was like, okay, this is not what is asked of me to do. I can't cry, And until I grew up, and learned more, and I learned that keeping your emotions is not a good thing. It's never a good thing.
You're gonna blow up.
Yeah, you're gonna blow up. And you learn from that, and that's when you really learn how to express yourself, or learn how to express yourself in ways that are not put you or any other person in danger. And so that started changing my mind on it. And then just seeing it from other people, older people especially, they have like this culture that we're brought up on that just shows that even women, they can't, están locas, you're depressed, estás loca, like, oh, estás loca. And you don't really want to pinpoint, okay, maybe there's a problem here, maybe there is really something. And if there is something, you're just ashamed of it, they shame you for it. But
I can totally relate to that, because I think it was my mom who was, I can relate to the father, my father didn't really open up a lot. He I think just because he's a Latinx male, he just wants to like be seen as masculine
Mm-hmm.
and show no emotion. And so I think that was hard for me growing up, because I mean, you see what I do,
Mm-hmm.
I'm very like, this is how I feel and this is what
Yeah.
I'm gonna do. And so I think it was hard for him having like a daughter like me, because I was like the opposite of him.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think it needs to be, I just think it needs to be shown. I think we need to talk about it. The more we sweep it under the rug, the harder it or the stronger those feelings get.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I can totally relate to that. And I'm so glad that I had a mom who was able to like take me to therapy, because she saw
Mm-hmm.
that I needed therapy. But I know that's not something a lot of Latinx
Yeah.
people go through. They, unfortunately, they are silenced, or they don't get the resources that they need. And so, yeah, I can relate to that so much.
Yeah. I mean, I was some of the stuff that I was reading. It just states that, like, compared to Caucasian, African Americans and Latino, what is it, Latinx?
Latinx.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm still
yeah.
getting used to that. The new one, but Latinx is they're the most likely to. I mean, they're the least likely to go to a psychiatrist or to reach out for help,
Yeah.
because again, both of those communities in one way or another have those stigmas in place that the moment you show a little bit of just a little weakness,
Yeah.
it automatically makes you like it's just easy to be shamed for.
Yeah, yes. Hearing things like, te voy a pegar, or te voy a dar algo para que si chilles.
Oh yeah.
I forgot how it goes, but yeah, like just those little sayings. I think it does a lot more damage than good. And
Yeah.
I think we as, because we're like challenging a lot of the things
Mhm.
that were bestowed on us. So I really like that. And just, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's true, because I mean, earlier I had another person in here talking about some stuff too, and like I mentioned to Dre earlier, some of the stuff that was brought can sound like machismo, can sound really misogynistic,
Mm.
and but the whole point that the guy was trying to bring up was just that there's certain standards that men are set up to in a way by society too, just as women are, but according to what we were talking about, it's not paid attention to. But
Mhm.
the way I think this kind of relates to is because, especially nowadays, it's harder for anybody, you or me or Dre or anybody here to kind of live up to the idea of what old American dream was. There's a lot
Mhm.
more factors, besides the fact that we're colored and stuff. There's a lot of different things that they're holding us back from living to those standards that we're set on, right?
Yeah.
So with that being said, oh fuck, I had a good point. See, I forget. No, but the whole point was, fuck, what was it? The fact that because of those standards that we're not meeting, those are reasons for those people to not express themselves, and because they're expressing themselves in that way, it's anti. Fuck. Damn, I forgot what I'm saying. I really did forget. But I'm just trying to make the point that there's certain standards that are met, and those are just put more social pressures on people to meet them.
Yeah.
And those are ways that people fall into these types of, stresses, or they have a mental breakdown or
Yeah.
something because,
Yeah.
they don't feel like they're enough.
Mhm.
And there's no way of really expressing that it's okay that you feel that way. you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah. So I think now it's being challenged more, and I think we should keep doing that.
yeah.
And just talking about it. I'm just a big let's talk about it, because
Yeah.
it's
I mean, that's how you get things done.
Yeah,
You sit down,
yeah.
you have a conversation about it, and
Yeah.
you see where everybody stands, and you can make a decision whether you want to do it or not.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, good job on the page.
Thank you. Yeah, we're happy.
Yeah.
We release merchandise,
Yeah.
which I'm wearing. My little brother.
Oh, nice. You were not alone.
Yeah.
Oh, he has a little tear.
Yeah, and it's like a brain.
Yeah.
So like they're like hugging each
Yeah.
other, and so, yeah, my little brother created this, and I think he's really creative. He's
Yeah.
Even, and that's another thing I want to bring up. You can have a mental illness and
Mhm.
be successful. You can do a lot of things even though you struggle with this. And I think people, maybe because of the stigma, we don't we don't realize that, but we kind of want to break that. Like, hey, you can run a page and release merch, and you can, like, do stuff, even though you have a mental illness.
You think it helped? It's just because you have an outlet. Like you have like somebody who who's been diagnosed, that it helps with them having an outlet of some sort to.
Oh yeah, definitely. Even okay, so we run the page, but sometimes it helps me. Sometimes I'm having like a rant. I'll have like a rant on my page, and then people are like, "Oh yeah, I felt that way too," and it makes me feel good, even though the page was created to bring awareness to others. Like, it has helped us too, and it totally helps to have an outlet and have people relate to you, and just connect. Yeah.
So like, as going into that field, do you have any suggestions as to what somebody could do to learn how to manage that, like how to manage those feelings and those emotions?
Definitely. For sure, journaling. So I like to do a lot of journaling. Whenever something like bugs me, I'm just like, well, let me write about it. Let me see what's gonna help me, or let me see what my feelings are, and then through my writing, I'm able to analyze them and kind of like break them apart and see how maybe I overlook something, or maybe something I'm not doing something that I want to do. And so journaling definitely helps. My brother, for sure, he loves to exercise. So if you see him, he's always like hiking. If you see our stories, like, my little brother's always hiking, and he's putting his favorite song out there. So music, exercise. We also did like a little playlist for people in case they wanted to hear like music that we listened to, and it was called MentalWhealth, Release That Anger. And nice. We had a lot of, well, I put Rage Against the Machine, Eminem, like some Lizzo for like our female fans, and Nicki Minaj, and just so that they don't feel alone. And in the music, there was like a lot of angry lyrics, and just normalizing anger, and it's okay to be angry. It's how you cope. It's how you like cope with it that makes it good or bad, So music, exercise, journaling, therapy. If you're lucky and if you have those resources, take advantage of that, because there are people who don't have that resource, who want to go to therapy and they can afford to. They don't have insurance, so just going to therapy and talking to someone, that helps. And
sorry, what would you say to somebody who tells you like, oh hey, you're like, oh, you can go to counseling or therapy, and they're like, oh, that's for crazy people. Like, I'm sure you heard that, right? Every now and then.
Yeah, for sure. I remember going into I was at a Chevrolet, and somebody was like, they said exactly what you said, and I was just like, well, I've been to a therapist. I think he was kind of like, oh, like
he was like, oh fuck, I shouldn't have said that.
Or maybe like, he probably was like, and I think it kind of challenged him, like, hey, like, you see me and you think I'm normal, but no, like, I've gone through depression, I've gone through mood swings, I've gone through like wanting to kill myself, and I've attempted suicide. And so I think that's something that it's not crazy if there's a lot of people going through that, It's something that so what I would say is like, well, I've been there, and I would just open up about myself, and also say, hey, these are other reasons, or these are some reasons why people go to therapy, and you can list like anxiety, maybe going through a divorce or being bullied. Those are things that a lot of people go through, not just, so I would say those things.
I get you. Like, I think 2 days ago, I happened to meet some of my friends, and one of them asked me, like, hey, go into the room and I'll introduce you to some people. And I was like, nah, I'm cool. And I don't know if I don't want to say like it happens all the time, but I get a lot of social anxiety, especially like when I have to go into a room of a group of people I'm like, nah. So I'm more like a, introvert in a sense.
Yeah.
So, and then he's like, oh, well, that's crazy. Just come on in. But it's like, no, man. It's like, you don't understand how I'm feeling right now. Like,
Yeah.
my chest is getting a little tight.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta just step outside and just, take a moment and, whatever it is that I do to kind of calm down.
Yeah.
But the fact that he was like, oh, no, come on. It's just, what are you talking about? It's like, nah, man. I mean, like, it's stuff that really does happen,
Yeah,
and
for
it
sure.
exists, and everybody experiences it differently.
Yeah.
So it made me just like think about like, okay, like what can I do for myself that is going to help me get past that, I guess, obstacle, and that's what I see it as.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't know if how I can approach that, but that's for me to find out, type of thing.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, if you want like a suggestion,
Oh yeah, tell me, I'll take it.
I think sometimes it's just like it takes like little steps.
Mm-hmm.
For you to get to like the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah.
So just taking like little steps towards that goal, like maybe you don't go and do like a public speech, like right away.
Right away, yeah.
Maybe it could be like doing more like a one-on-one, and then moving to groups, and then doing like like a podcast, like right here.
I think that's the strong suit. That it's just a one-on-one, and it's more personal type of thing, so I can flow better, but put two other people in here or put me in a random room with somebody, I'm just like
same.
I'm a wallflower, I'm just like, no, I'm not here. So I mean, that's something, again, other people experience too, but unless you're feeling that way, which I'm sure everybody has some sort of anxiety with one thing or another, we just haven't really put it into place, like, hey, this makes me feel this certain way.
For sure.
I had a question here early on the page. I put how can we change the narrative and destigmatize mental health? Just to read some of the people's responses real quick. I had somebody here, Boncito. It said, there's no easy answer, but I think education and awareness is a good start. Somebody else, my life as a student, RN, make more psychology offices available, like they do with primary doctors. Somebody else, Silver and Gold, childhood plays a huge role, so acknowledging that is vital. So I guess from the nutshell, it's, I guess, from Silver and Gold is trying to accept, I guess, everything that's happened to you growing up, and knowing that that's a vital, or that knowing that that's what made you right now. I mean, does that make sense?
Yeah. Because I mean, I was sexually abused when I was small. And I write that on my mental health page, like, because it's there. It happened, Mm-hmm. And I remember talking to my therapist about it, and I was kind of like feeling like very sad and like kind of sorry for myself. Like, man, why did I have to go through this? Always like, I have a lot of anger because that happened to me. And so I was just like, why? Like, why? And then she like shifted the narrative to like, well, it happened to you, and look at what you're doing with it. Look at the advocacy that you're doing, and the people that are listening to you or that are inspired by MentalWhealth. And so I had to like, I just love that, things happen, and unfortunately, we have to move, or we have to like just. I don't want to say get over it, because it's something like that, it's not easy to get over, but just this happened to you when you were small, or like a child, and now you're an adult. Now you get to choose your story. You get to write the ending to the story.
I had some other I read something else once that sounded similar, like understand that it happened to you, like, in a sense, embrace that it happened to you, and let it work alongside of you to try to make you a better person, in a sense. That's what I got from what I read with whatever piece that was. But again, like, it's part of you, like, it's part of who you are, whether it was negative or positive, and then you make the decision on how you want to make others the impact, I guess, right?
That makes sense.
Right.
And I think something that the girl said was about like make more
psychology.
Maybe because when we talk about like healthcare, we should also talk about mental health care, like that's something that we need to bring up and fight for. And also when we talk about like sick days are physical. What about mental health, you
Mental
know,
health
like
days.
there are people who are sick, who have anxiety attacks, panic attacks, who can't go out, you know, have those mental health days too.
Yeah, right. Those should. I had some. I think I asked that too. I forgot that. It got erased here. But point is, yeah, like they should at least be a conversation that's brought up, because, again, there is times you're gonna feel burnt out, or other days where you're just not, you're not in your zone, type of thing, and something's just going on with your life that you just need a moment to just take a break from that daily stuff, especially at work. Some every now and then you just want to like disconnect and just be, take care of yourselves. Treat yourself.
Yeah, for sure.
What was that? There was another question here. Where is it?
Somebody's watching live says if you want to give out the number, they can call in.
You want to give out the number?
No, if you want to give out the number, they'll call in.
Sure. It's gonna be a troll. Okay.
323-743-3731. If you want to call in, go ahead. 323-743-3731.
Let's see what happens. Oh shit, that's the right time, right? 12 minutes. Oh goddamn, cool. Shit flew. Okay, we'll wait for the phone call when it comes in, but
cool.
But in the meantime, one of the other questions was advice. It says, how do you cope with stressful situations and stressful or mental situations? A few people said meditation. That was I am Juana. We have the real Da Vinci says, I like to roll one up and blaze. Okay, all right, cool. And somebody else says meditation, essential oils, a good diet, rest, and self-talk. Which, I mean, those are pretty...
Yeah, those are all good.
Yeah,
yeah.
Those are all really good. But yeah, it definitely makes sense that we all find our way to cope with this stuff, one way or another. And ultimately, I think once we're able to at least understand what we're going through, it makes it easier for us to just try to be as much as ourselves as we can,
Yeah.
And then, fuck what everybody else thinks. Nobody else is going to be on the same page. Only you know what you're really going through.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, if somebody calls in, but before we, I guess not. Okay, told you they were a troll. But before it gets too late, so we don't miss anything. If people want to shop for some of your merch, where did you want them to check out? The Etsy page here?
Yes. So it's www.etsy.com/MentalWealth.
MentalWealth. Yeah,
well, it's on our link.
It's on your link and bio on the IG.
Yeah.
So yeah, people can check that out if you want, and then you can follow them on Instagram at MentalWHealth. That's how it's spelled out.
Yeah.
That way you can check it out.
It's like health and wealth put together.
Now, before we finish, I wanted to just bring something up real quick. Like, you know how, a few weeks ago there was those mass shootings coming up. And I think one thing that they always try to kind of I guess, not pinpoint, but bring up as a conversation is the mental health,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's not true, but I don't know if it's true either because I don't have the facts. But when you see something like that, like, does it make you think about how it's being perceived, mental health? Like, somebody's just gonna fucking snap and go at it for people?
Yeah. So when that happened, actually, me and my brother posted a lot of like posts. I don't know if you can go up, and it's pretty much saying like, call it what it is.
Yeah, right.
We all know that it was white supremacy, and
exactly.
I don't know if people don't want to admit that. Well, clearly people don't want to admit that, and a lot of I think this country is in denial, and they should,
for sure,
instead of throwing mentally ill people under the bus, they should address like the gun laws, like put stricter gun laws. And I don't want to get into politics, but like pretty much that. It's frustrating for me to hear that, because now there's more stigma, and now it's going to be harder for somebody else to open up. But I think we need to call it what it is and just go from there.
Yeah, because I will think again, like you mentioned yourself, like that's just going to add some negative connotation to what it is. And again, people are going to be like, nah, I'm not going to go. They're going to put me on pills and stuff. That's the last thing people want to do. Even if they have to at some point, people don't want to fucking do that. Like, they're just going to be against it. And even more when you start saying like the mental health is the leading cause for those mass shootings, when the majority of the people who've done it, they happen to be white.
Yeah.
You know?
And breaks well promoting or like quoting Trump and like using like the guy was like praising Trump on Twitter.
Mhm.
Like he was that person was racist and they wanted to kill Hispanic or Latinx people, and don't throw this group of people like us, mentally ill people, like to blame. Don't put us to blame when you need to address what's the real issue there. So yeah, that kind of pissed me off. But
yeah, no, I bet, you know, because it's something you're experiencing, and then it's just being put into a different category, and it's like, what?
Yeah, and something that I read was people with mental illness, they're more likely to hurt themselves and hurt other people because what they're going through is something internal. And so a lot of people like myself who used to cut or like wanted to kill themselves, like we are more likely to hurt ourselves than other people. And I think that when you say that it's mental illness, you kind of portray this a picture that people with mental illness are violent.
Yeah.
When in reality, probably there's some, there are some, but you know, the majority of us are like just struggling, and we're just trying to like get through the day.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
that's what you want to just survive as comfortable as you can, right?
Yes.
Yeah, no, I always bring it back to I think the biggest change in the whole medical like healthcare stuff was, healthcare, like mental health, was when President Ronald Reagan was in office. He basically, he closed down institutions that were helping people with illnesses, mental illnesses, and basically leading them to go to the streets because they had nowhere else to go.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it went downhill. And again, like working in those healthcare office when I used to do so, you see how many obstacles there is for anybody who really wants to improve their way of life. Whether it be mental, whether it be physical, like they made you wait. I don't know, to get a nutritionist, somebody tell you how you should be eating, you have to go through months of waiting, recommendations, and it's like, come on.
Yeah.
Like people are trying to prolong their lives, and you're just basically prolonging the fact that they want to prolong their lives.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's really unfortunate.
Yeah. Even in the mental health field, I think there is a lot of stigma. Or like just there are people who aren't doing like a good job, and I say this because I was in a mental institution once, and I just remember like the person that was assigned to me, I was sleeping in a room, and it was a seclusion room. I was in a suicide watch, and this person just came into my room and was just like, woke me up. It was like the middle of the night, and was just like, so why did you do this? And just very like angry at me, and I haven't even met him. I was just trying to sleep, and this is how you're gonna come at me after trying to attempt suicide. This is how you're gonna come at me. And so I got really like, and I think I even told him something, but yeah, there's a lot of stigma within these facilities, and I think we need to address that too.
Yeah, no, I mean for sure. There's people are just there to get to work sometimes. They're not there to follow the fucking rules, and then you put people that don't understand the problem. It's a recipe for disaster.
Yeah, for sure.
But we're pretty much at that time. Besides us finding you on Instagram, is there anywhere anybody else can get in contact with you if they want, just want to say, hey, your page is cool?
Well, yeah, because we do get a lot more requests on our mental wealth page, but I guess my personal page, which is Soybon, but it's S0YBON, and then my little brother is Sai Marco, which is PSY and then Marco.
Oh, okay.
And I think you'll get more of a response through our like personal pages, because with mental wealth we do have like a lot of DMs or like messages, so I think they're there for sure.
Cool.
Or we also have a Twitter.
Oh, you have a Twitter.
We have a Twitter.
Is it coming out?
It's not in here.
Oh, okay.
But if you Google Twitter mental wealth with the WH, it'll come up, and
okay.
I kind of want to expand that platform because that one's smaller. Our biggest platform is Instagram, but we do have Twitter, Facebook. It's kind of hard having all these platforms, but for sure, you can follow us on Twitter.
Yeah. All right, cool. For anybody who, wants to ask for help or doesn't know where to go to, do you have any recommendations as to where they can start?
Yeah, for sure. If they're a student, I would go to counseling services at their school. Hopefully, because I know our fan base is like all over the world. So I right now I can only like give like the U.S.
Yeah.
But like most schools should have like some sort of counseling services. Even just Googling mental health near me or like mental health facility near me, there should be like LA County, like there should be certain what do you call them, like facilities for these services. I would say like go in person, because if you call, it's going to be, I feel like it's harder for them to take you seriously. So if you really need help, go to the office and be like, hey, this is what I'm going through, and make them listen to you, because a lot of people do get like brushed off, like, oh, you're okay and stuff like that. But I think we need to advocate for ourselves and just like be present and just say like, this is what I'm going through and can you help me? And I know I had a friend who's in a different state, and he did that, and they were able to work with him with like changing the price for these services. So because he's low income, so he was able to get better services.
Like programs for that.
Yeah, so just advocate for yourself and say like, this is what I'm going through. And also, two more things. I know a lot of people are kind of, they don't want to say it in person. So there's hotlines, like a texting hotline. It's 741-741, and you can just text that, and then somebody will be assigned to you to talk to you.
Nice.
Yeah, and so I've used that, and I think it helped me twice. And I think these are resources that we can all use, especially if you're in the U.S. I wish I could give more resources to like worldwide,
international.
But like it's hard with different countries.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you again, Yvonne. Thank you for coming out, giving us all the information. Because again, we need it, especially around our communities. Because we have to be open to, talking to somebody if we really have to.
For sure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it.
Dre, thank you again for everything tonight.
Thank you, Dre.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Hey. All right.
Peace.
Bye.